Welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus Kraus, and I'm so excited to bring you this next podcast dedicated to you high performers out there who want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, maybe your career, all of it. This podcast is all about being dedicated to transformation and being the best possible leader of yourself and others that you can be in order to create a legacy that lives on. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus Kraus. I am the founder and CEO of True You Teams. And here we go. Everyone, it's Tina Paulus Kraus. I am excited to kick off today. And Elaine, I'm so super pumped up that you are the first one up today. We are here today. I've got the whole board of advisors for the Global Leadership Academy that one by one we're going to interview today and just really talk about the vision, talk about your journey, talk about what it's taken, what you've created, all the kind of stuff, because we're in some tough times right now. It's kind of scary out there, right? So Elaine, what I would love to do is have you introduce yourself to anyone who's watching and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so I'm Elaine Sugimura. Welcome, everybody. It's so lovely to meet everyone. So I am a wife of 41 years. I've been with my husband, Hero, for 44. So I was just a young girl when I met him. But I am happily married. I have to say, although I didn't do this work at the beginning, through all of this, it's only made the relationship richer. I'm a mom of 2 boys who are now men, who've now given me 2 grandsons and 2 daughter-in-laws, and I've always wanted a daughter. So now I've gotten 2. And let's see, my mom is still living. She's 93. I'm actually here visiting her today. And so excited because, outside of my family, which is my mom and my 2 sisters who were still with us, building my own family and recognizing outside of the workplace what family really is was part of this journey we'll talk about for me. Okay. I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor, 2 different cancers. So I've gone through my share of what survivorship is versus what it means to thrive in life. And I am a executive through and through. I've been in the fashion industry for over 35 plus years. I moved off to own my own business now. I own 4 currently. Residual income was really important to me. And I really wanted to share a bit now that I'm in my, if you will, my wise years, sharing a bit of what I've learned in life. Because at the age of 62, which I'm not afraid to say anymore, is a blessing. And I didn't think I'd ever reach this moment in my life, because the number one goal when you're ill and you're going through cancer is you are asked many times, what is it that's going to get you to see that that's a possibility? And back then it didn't feel like possibility for me. And so to see my sons having graduated from high school to college to now having families and grandchildren, I never thought I'd see the day. So I am a thriving woman, powerful leader. I am a powerful, confident, authentic leader.
Yes, you are.
And it's a lesson every day to figure out how to live into that every day, because it's not easy, as you know, Tina. When we work and we live our lives, it's easy to fall back into some other things that, I'll share some more about as we go on.
Yeah, for sure. So what I hear you saying, Elaine, is perseverance. I mean, and I've watched it, right? Like I've walked it from the peripheral, right? And watched you go through this stuff, and talk a little bit about the perseverance that you had to pull. I know you probably had to pull that perseverance on, right? Like just pull it on and wear it, and talk about some of those tough times when that was real for you.
So the first time I was diagnosed, I was 29. My youngest son was 2.5 years old. And, at that moment, I thought, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. And, but through the perseverance, the love of my family, the love of everybody that worked with me, I was able to get through that. The toughest piece, I think, was, and what I really learned perseverance was the second time. I was a CEO for 17 years of my life in the fashion industry, corporate world. And you can imagine, we have markets, I was in the accessories business, so markets, 4 times a year. That's when everybody would come in, and all the retailers would come, because I was a wholesaler. and I would
Yeah.
sell handbags and accessories and things.
Yeah.
And I didn't want people to think I was dying. So what did I do? Not only did I had my right side mastectomy, but I had an 18-hour reconstruction surgery. And for those of you who are listening in, have not gone through this or in the middle of this, I'm happy to have a conversation with you because I was one of very early on. This particular DIEP surgery was not really recognized. And I only worked with one of the two doctors in the country that actually was performing it. And they said, well, in order to have these two new breasts, it's going to be 18 hours of anesthesia and you'll be under. And the fear of losing my breast wasn't that fear. At first, I thought, okay, I'm going to lose a second breast. But at the same time, I thought, I, I want to feel like a woman.
Yeah.
Because what I learned through this journey was that I lost my breasts and I lost my ovaries by the age of 41. And I didn't feel like a woman. And when you're married and you have children and you feel that I can buy myself a beautiful new car for $60,000. And this surgery was going to cost me $60,000. And I thought, Hero, I want to feel like a woman. So
Mhm.
he supported me and I chose to do the surgery. And when I woke up, I thought, damn, I'm strong. I'm a strong-willed woman and I am powerful. I can persevere through this. If I can get through this, I can get through anything. Okay.
Right.
So just imagine Long Island, New York, snowing, and my husband is coming and going from Connecticut to come see me. It just was a harrowing time. And, I actually came home. I had these five um, valves and balloons, for the drip. And within 4 weeks, I was back at work. 4 weeks because I didn't want anyone to think I was dying.
Got you. And so
Talk
what do
about
you,
perseverance. That was it.
yeah, what do you make of that decision now? And how would you be different today?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if I would have made any other choice because at the time I thought maybe this was a little selfish because my kids were so young, but I knew that that was part of what I needed to get past this. Because one of the things about when you're ill or when you find out that you're ill and not knowing if death is imminent is, what are you going to do in your life to create life as now? And I didn't do any of this work to understand life as now, but I
Yeah.
behaved in a way that life is now. And so um, I really had to sit back and dig deep of all the fears, the scarcity, everything that was rising up. How did
Mhm.
I get overcome those things? I really did surface work on my own,
Mhm.
but the deep work came later. So I'll be honest, Tina, I don't know if I would have made a different decision because I'm
Yeah.
really happy about the decisions and choices I made. And I should say not
Yeah.
decision, but choices I made.
Yeah, what's fascinating about it, Elaine, is that in those moments, so we think about the workplace, right? Let's go back into the workplace and we're in the workplace and you're the CEO and you're in charge of things
Mhm,
and you're the leader and you're supposed to be creating
mhm.
the way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in those moments, right, when you've got that hard exterior on and you're trying to like really make it work, like where was your support at, right? Where were you in those moments pulling support? And what could people around you in that moment have done to support you, because you know that you were showing up probably a little bit differently.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a controller. That I know very well. And add an analyzer to that, and you can understand a little bit about how the box actually had to fit
Yeah.
in order for everything to work.
Mhm.
I had lovely people working for me, one of which was a coworker that was with me for 12 years. He was my VP, and he went through this with his mom. And so to have somebody who understood what it meant to have breast cancer was critical because the support that I had from work in the protection I felt that I needed was
Mhm.
there. But really, truly from home was my husband.
Yeah.
He's my gift, the gift that taught me. I met him at 18. So the gift to understand that life is now, and that we can't dwell on the past. He grew up without his father and he lost his mother at a very young age. And, there were so many things that we've gone through as a couple already at that point, although I was just 29 when I was diagnosed, that having the support of my family, and I didn't realize it then, but having the support of my family and those closest to us support me in ways that cooking meals, having close community of friends of my children's, school that did a whole food tree and brought food every day so that I didn't have to worry about Hero and the kids. So when I combine community and family, without that, I would have really, really struggled. And then my community at work.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to someone who is listening to this right now and they're maybe in your position, right? They have a health issue, something's going on, they're scared to be vulnerable about it, they're scared to ask for the support because we have that thing in our head that says
Mhm.
if we ask for support, we're
Mhm.
weak, right? So what advice would you give to somebody right here, right now that's going through something similar?
What really got me through the illness was believing in me. I didn't listen to all of the things. I didn't search for all of the things. And back then, quite frankly, Google wasn't as big as it is today. But I dug deep and wanted to learn things. But I advocated for myself in ways that I didn't even understand I was advocating, Tina. Today, this is why I do this work.
Yeah.
Leaders get to create other leaders, to create that and to share with others that when you have a strong mindset, whether you have fear, you're afraid of vulnerability. I would have never shed a tear before because that was the facade, and the handshake had to be like, a total
CEOs
masculine
can't
handshake. We
cry.
can't cry. I and I, had I done this work earlier, what type of CEO could I have been at its greatest peak? I think about that all the time. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the work this last 3 years for me has been 4 years now working on myself. And I realize it's an everyday game. It's an everyday lesson that we get to share with others, but also ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the lesson comes from believing in our own mind that we can get over something. And that does require authenticity and vulnerability and love and joy, and also not being happy at moments. And then in those moments, how do you get through that?
Yeah.
And so that's the piece. And I go way back. And when we do this work, Tina, we go way back. And one of the things I learned in the very first part of this session, the inner works that we do to open our mind up of whether or not we can allow these things in, is the piece where we say, what started all this? And it's how I was raised. It's how I was raised. And I was so afraid of my dad. He was an alcoholic. And I'm brave to say that today.
Yeah.
Uh, but I had to work through that. I had to work through that to understand
Yeah.
how that affected why I was afraid when I was a CEO to make certain choices, because I didn't
Mhm.
want to look bad. I had to be the best of the best, right? And the best of the best requires you being authentic and real and vulnerable and truthful and create emotions with other people that they can understand that you understand them. And
Mhm.
so I know parts of my CEO-ship and being the, mom that I am required me to do that inner work for myself. And I am so proud of myself for doing it.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. So you talk about the inner work, and it being the work. So talk a little bit about like what is the work? Like what is it that we're doing when we're doing the work? Because we talk about, I say that
Mhm,
word a lot too, and then sometimes
mhm.
they're like, "What are you talking about? I don't know what the work is."
The best way I can explain it in layman terms for myself that really gets across to others is when we fear and have scarcity, and let's just face it, like everybody who's watching, I want
Yeah.
you to really sit down and think about all the fears and scarcity that comes through your life. After 62 years, I have many. And I still do, they come up. And one of the things that I learned through this process was when we have judgment, when we have assumptions, or when we have excuses or justifications about things in our life, and how many times do we all sit here and really judge? And all of us get to raise our hand. And
Yeah.
when I heard one of the trainers say this to me, She said, it means, Elaine, your vision's not big enough. And at that moment, vision sounded so far from me. I didn't even know what she was talking about. And I said, okay, talk to me, teach me. I'm ready for the lesson. And what really fell into my heart was when you open up your heart to others for whatever's possible, for yourself especially, the feminine side of myself, because I've always, if you can imagine, landed
Yep.
on the masculine side. Okay. And quite frankly, I had shingles through this whole process because I that whole right side is what was activated, not my left. So when I
Yes.
dropped into my heart, and I call it the triangle, my mind and my gut was always aligned because I
Hmm.
forced that alignment, but I never forced the alignment to my heart. And when I was able to feel that peace, the tides start to rise. Everything started to rise. Everything started to make sense. And it appears basic. And this is what I'm going to say to everybody. When you come into this and people say, oh, transformation is this, that, and the other. Leadership is profoundly what we each get to share with others. That's where the community comes together and why I choose to be part of a community that believes in the same, which is one person at a time, creating leaders from the age of, when they're old enough to make those choices and teens to the time that you're even my age or older. I've seen 80-year-olds take this course because
Right.
you're
Isn't it
never
amazing?
too
Yeah.
old,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yep, it's so true. So, um, your journey is so incredible, and it's perseverance, it's resilience, it's self-love. I mean, what I hear you say when you talk is that you found your way home. Like you literally found your way home to yourself. And from that, my next question is, what have you built from that? So since going
Yeah.
through all that work, and yes, it's an everyday thing for the rest of our
Yeah.
life, but like, what have you created from that?
Well, traditionally, when you go to school, you say, okay, K through 12, you follow the instructions, you go on to college, you do the same, and then, whoa, you're going to get this great job when you get your degree. Okay, so let's just face it. It would mean all of us would come out and everything would be hunky-dory. It doesn't work that way. Life happens. And so for me, it was more about understanding from the traditional, how could I take this emotional quotient, if you will, piece of opening my heart and understanding what was out there for me. Even at the age that I started this, because it's when I finally opened up to let people see inside of me, that the traditional moved over to what we would call transformational leadership today, in that recognizing when I am myself, my true self, authentically myself, the power, the confidence, the authenticity, that is there's no joke. I thought my contract was not really me, but it is me, right?
Oh
I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
how could the CEO have confidence in the middle? And I'll never forget one of the trainers saying to me, she said, Elaine, I want you to really think about that for a second. And I said, I am very clear. I was a supporter before I became a controller.
Mm,
Okay, because of the way I was raised. So
yeah.
this supporter dug deep, and I had many other things in my life where my parents didn't want me to be with my husband, and all these different things that happened in my life that were
Yeah.
challenging, that I created who Elaine became,
Mhm.
not in the right ways. When I realized what it meant to understand the operating styles of human beings,
Mhm.
which, in this case, I mean supporter, controller, analyzer, help me out here,
Promoter.
promoter. And I act like I'm not a promoter, but I realize once I allow people in, I do become a promoter, and I'm a big promoter. Uh, so
Love your promoter.
it's just been a profound awakening, if you will,
Mm.
a
Yeah.
profound awakening.
Yeah. I would imagine like it'd be so curious to line up a bunch of CEOs, just line them up, raise your hand if you struggle with confidence, and to see how many of them would actually raise their hand. And people would be like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
Right? But when we dig deep, those are the
Hmm.
things underneath that become the work that, wow, if we could get
Yeah.
past those inner limitations, if we could get past that stuff that's holding us back, like we can create anything.
Well,
We can
that's the
create.
thing, right? And so the creation, what have I created since that time? That traditional path was one business. a CEO of one business. Now I owned six and I sold a couple. Now I have four. And people say, how do you have time? And I said, I create time. I didn't understand how to create time until I went through this work. Okay.
Mhm.
So the piece of where when I allow my mind free, I set my mind free of what
Yeah.
others were going to think about me, aka parents and everything else.
Yeah.
I started to create, and I was given a specific word when I was in the advanced leadership course, and it was
Okay.
responsibility. And I was so like, how could that be my word? And like,
Yeah.
but today, and it was through coaching and mentoring in this community that I realized I had one buddy that said this to me. What does it mean to be responsible? At a given point when something's not going down your way or you've got to make a choice and you didn't make it, you froze. Okay. What is responsibility to you? I say creating something from nothing. And he goes, "Ha, okay, there you now you know your word. Go create." And I sat there
Yes.
thinking, wow, that was
Yeah.
profound for me. And
Yeah.
so I've gone off creating, and
Yeah.
it's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah. What's so profound about it is that the opposite of it is blaming somebody or something else,
That's
right?
right.
It's about that ownership and that responsibility of no one's gonna come save me. No, like
Yep.
for a long time, that's kind of where I was at. Like somebody's got to come and save me. It's like this has
Yeah.
got to change, and it doesn't. We get to own it. We get to be responsible for it, and create whatever it is that we get to create. So I love that you said that. Did I just? Are you still
It's
there, Elaine?
I'm still here.
Okay, I lost my whole system. It like went down on me. So
Okay.
um
I still
I'm
see
gonna
you.
get you back. I think I
Okay.
have you back.
Okay.
So here's the thing. You are one of our board of advisors. We chose our board of advisors based on all the stuff that we've been talking about today.
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about what your vision is for the Global Leadership Academy and how you see your role on our board of advisors.
It's about leaders creating leaders. So if I've had this success in my life and I've taken distinctions I've learned along the way, and it's until you walk this path that many of us on all of us on this board have taken and many others in our community, is when you realize that the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience, when you can share that with others and create new community that gets to come in and be part of this, new humans, it it fills my heart with joy. It activates this feminine side for me. And it's just this reward that doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be, love that I have to go force myself to find or friendships. I had this many friends that you can count for 25 years of my life. Okay. Because I was so busy not wanting to make a mistake.
Right.
Now I have so many friends, and that's love, that's joy, that's happiness.
Yeah.
So for me, it's sharing in that. It's now not only am I wanting to mentor and coach and facilitate others, but I would like to see them come in and do the same.
Yeah.
And I get to learn from them consistently as I do with you and with Donnie's and everyone else on this board.
Yeah. Isn't it beautiful? I mean, it's transform people, transform people. You go through the work and you go through that inner work that we're talking about, and
Mhm.
take yourself on and tackle it. And then you start seeing the results, not only within yourself, but within other areas of your life. And you're like, oh my gosh, everybody
Yeah.
gets to have these tools.
Yeah.
Like everyone gets to have these tools. And so that is, I love that summation. That's exactly what we're up to at the Global Leadership Academy. So as we kind of we've got so many more interviews happening today
Yeah.
throughout the day, and I'm so excited to bring everybody on. But I want to thank you, Elaine, for being here today. I'm going to give you a second here to tell everybody where you're at, where how they can find you. But before we go there, I want to acknowledge you. I want to
Thank
acknowledge
you.
you for just being a rock star, for being, I mean, you are like one of the strongest people I know. Talk about
Oh,
perseverance and resilience, and you just stand in it. You stand in it and you keep on going. And I just want to honor you and thank you so much for being a part of our world. It means a
thank
lot.
you for allowing me to be a part of this community. I am wholeheartedly behind both you and Donese and the team. and I'm here to support in any way I can. And so thank you. And I'm blessed and so grateful, so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Ends our very first kickoff interview. Down below, I'm going to put the link where you can actually sign up to get all 12 of the interviews that we're going to create today. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stay on here for 12 hours, which most people can't, sign up and we will get you an email with all of the interviews on them. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.